So today, we're going to look beyond the next iPhone, way past the next earnings call, and deep into the next decade to really decode Apple's grand strategy. What we're talking about here is the actual blueprint for a $3 trillion empire, one that's being built on silicon, software, and services. And it's all leading to a very specific vision for 2030. Okay, let's get into it. It all kicks off with a number that's, well, it's almost hard to wrap your head around. $500 billion. And that's not a valuation. That's a promise. Apple has committed to investing over $500 billion right here in the United States in just 4 years. This is the war chest funding their entire next chapter. So that leads to the big question, right? What exactly is Apple building with all this cash? I mean, this isn't just about opening new offices. This is a meticulously planned strategy for what the company, and really our whole relationship with technology, is going to look like by the end of this decade. So here's how we're going to break it down. We're going to look at the 4 strategic pillars that hold this entire vision up. We've got the silicon foundation, the AI brain, the financial engine, and, of course, the next big computing platforms. And then we'll look at the major headwinds that could, throw a wrench in this whole roadmap. All right, first up is Pillar 1, the silicon foundation. You have to understand, this is the absolute bedrock of everything. It's the non-negotiable starting point for every single thing Apple wants to do. If they don't have complete control here, the rest of these pillars just fall apart. And here's the crucial thing you got to get about Apple Silicon. It's not just another component. It's basically the master clock for the whole company, the timeline for new AI features, the possibility of making lightweight AR glasses, the battery life of your next watch. It all comes down to the performance gains they can squeeze out of their own custom chips. Now, this perfectly captures the tension in Apple's single most important relationship. For years, Apple's sheer size gave it massive leverage over its chipmaker, TSMC. But the game is changing. The explosion in demand for AI chips from companies like NVIDIA and AMD means TSMC is suddenly in the driver's seat. Apple still needs to be first in line for the best chips to power its AI, but now they're fighting for that spot in a very crowded, very high-stakes arena. And this roadmap just shows you the relentless pace they have to keep up with. We are not talking about small, incremental bumps here. Apple's entire vision for 2030 is banking on this timeline holding true. Every single jump from 3 nanometer to 2 and all the way down to a planned 1 nanometer node by 2030 is absolutely essential. Any delay here sends a massive ripple effect through their entire product line. Okay, so let's move to the second pillar and see how this all connects, the AI brain. With that silicon foundation locked in, Apple is now laser-focused on building a totally unique intelligence layer that runs on top of it. And their big differentiator comes down to one simple but really powerful idea: privacy. They're calling it Apple Intelligence, and it's not some single giant AI model sitting in the cloud like some of their competitors. No, it's a hybrid system. The idea is to do as much as it possibly can right there on your device. And for the bigger stuff, it uses a unique, secure cloud system. The goal is to give you powerful AI that gets your personal context without your personal data ever leaving your control. So here's how this hybrid thing actually works. Step 1. A pretty powerful model lives right on your device for quick things like summarizing an email. Step 2. For the more complicated stuff, your request gets sent to Apple's private cloud compute. These are servers running on Apple's own chips, and they're designed so that not even Apple can see your data. And then, only as a final, totally optional step, and only if you say it's okay, can it reach out to a partner like OpenAI for general world knowledge. Privacy is the default, every single time. And they are putting some serious muscle behind this. In just the first half of 2025, job postings for AI and machine learning roles at Apple shot up by a staggering 89%. This is not a side project. They are in an all-out war for talent to build this stuff in-house, so they don't have to rely on anyone else in the long run. Which brings us to pillar number 3, the financial engine. I mean, building custom silicon and world-class AI is insanely expensive. So where does all that money come from? Well, it comes from the quiet but unbelievably powerful services division. Just look at this number, over 70%. That is the typical gross margin on Apple's services. Things like the App Store, iCloud, Apple Music. Hardware sales can go up and down, but this incredibly high-margin recurring revenue gives them this stable financial bedrock that lets them make these huge long-term bets on risky new ideas. And the importance of this engine is only getting bigger. Projections are showing that by 2030, services could be more than a third of Apple's total revenue. That is a fundamental shift in what this company is. It's becoming less of a pure hardware company and more of a hybrid hardware and subscription platform. The scale here is just immense. The services division is about to blow past $100 billion in revenue a year. It's built on this crazy foundation of over 1 billion paid subscriptions, and they keep feeding it with new stuff like live sports on Apple TV Plus and financial services with Apple Pay. This is the engine that's funding the entire future of the company. Okay, so we have the foundation, we have the brain, and we have the engine. Pillar 4 shows us where all of this is actually going. The next generation of computing platforms that are meant to define how we interact with technology after the smartphone. The first big destination is spatial computing. Now, the journey starts with an upgraded Vision Pro in 2025, but that's not the real prize. The plan is to get to a lighter, more affordable Vision Air around 2027 to get this tech to the mass market. And the ultimate endgame, maybe around 2028, is a simple pair of lightweight AR glasses that you could wear all day long. The second huge destination is health. And Apple's mission here is incredibly ambitious. They want to turn their devices, especially the Apple Watch, into an intelligent guardian for your health, something that proactively monitors you based on real science. And listen, this isn't just about counting your steps. We are talking about medical-grade features. The pipeline already has things like hypertension alerts and sleep apnea detection. But the real game changer, the holy grail they've been working on for over a decade, is non-invasive glucose monitoring. That means checking your blood sugar with no needles. If they crack that, the Apple Watch instantly becomes an essential medical device for hundreds of millions of people. Of course, a roadmap this ambitious is never guaranteed. There are some really significant external risks, some major headwinds that could delay or maybe even derail Apple's entire plan for 2030. When you look at the risk profile, there are 3 main threats. First, that TSMC bottleneck we talked about. Fierce competition for chips could slow Apple down or make things way more expensive. Second is geopolitical risk. Even with their China Plus One strategy to move production to places like India, they are still deeply dependent on China, which is a huge vulnerability. And third, you've got regulators in both the US and Europe who are trying to dismantle the very app store that fuels their whole services engine. So when you put it all together, you finally see the real strategy. This isn't just about selling you a new phone every couple of years. It's about building this integrated ecosystem of hardware, AI, and services that is so seamless and so useful that you end up subscribing to Apple's entire vision of your digital life. You know, this quote from CEO Tim Cook just perfectly captures it. Every single investment, whether it's in silicon, AI, or health sensors, it's all driven by this one goal: embedding Apple's tech deeper into our lives by making it smarter, more personal, and ultimately indispensable. And that really leaves us with a final and pretty crucial question. As computing moves from the device in our pocket to glasses on our face and sensors on our skin, as it becomes more personal and more integrated than ever before, the question isn't just about features or price anymore. It's about trust. Who do you trust to build that future?